Hey guys, settle in, breathe slowly, and feel the warm glow of a sleepy New Zealand farm. Follow Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and their little lamb friends as they drift into rest alongside Old Marlow and his magical golden cheese. Every sound, shimmer, and breath will guide you gently into deep, relaxing sleep. Dear listener, take a slow breath. Let the air settle gently in your chest and feel the space around you soften. You're safe here, you're warm, you're welcome. Tonight we drift into a story shaped by rolling hills, sunlit pastures, and the peaceful rhythm of woolly footsteps wandering through fields of green. This is a tale wrapped in comfort, and all you need to do is relax, settle in, and let your thoughts sway like tall grass in a New Zealand breeze. Before our story carries you away, take just a few seconds to notice your shoulders. Let them drop a little. Notice your jaw and let it loosen. Feel your hands rest comfortably. You don't need to do anything else. You're just here, listening, drifting, settling, becoming a little softer with every breath, because our story today begins on a quiet New Zealand farm tucked between gentle hills, where the air always smells faintly of warm grass, fresh milk, and drifting clouds. It's a place where the morning sky rolls open in soft blue ribbons, and where a friendly little herd of sheep lives a life filled with grazing, nibbling, napping, and occasionally getting into very silly situations. As your breathing grows a little slower, imagine the landscape spreading out beneath a soft silver dawn. The hills dip and curve like a calm ocean frozen in green. The sheep roam across these hills, each with its own personality, each with its own habits and quirks. You can picture them now, a cluster of fluffy shapes dotted across the pasture, gentle, plodding, peaceful. Their wool catches the early light, glowing faintly like soft clouds resting on the earth. Our story follows them as they wander through their day. But before we reach the heart of their adventures, you might let your mind settle into the quiet sounds of the farm. Imagine the soft, steady rustle of leaves in the breeze, the hushed hum of insects awakening, the distant, friendly crackle of a small hearth warming someone's kitchen. Everything blends into a gentle, sleepy symphony, the kind that eases your mind into a slower rhythm, a softer state, a calmer place. And in that warm quiet, the farm's shepherd Old Marlow steps out of his wooden cottage. He moves slowly, the way someone who has spent many years living by the earth's rhythms. His boots crunch softly on the dew-damp grass. In his hand, he carries a little tin cup of morning tea, steam curling in the cool air. He gazes across the hillside, counting sheep the way he does every morning. 1, 2, 3, 4. His voice is slow, gentle, and unhurried. The sheep, of course, are already awake. Some are munching clover. Some are nudging each other just to be playful. And others, well, others are already plotting mischief, as sheep often do when the world is peaceful enough to make mischief feel like the day's grand adventure. As Old Marlow finishes his tea, a little lamb named Poppy trots toward him. Poppy is the gentlest little thing, with a wool coat that always seems a little fluffier than the rest. She bumps affectionately against his leg, and he chuckles softly. "Good morning, Poppy," he murmurs, giving her a gentle scratch behind the ears. "You ready for another peaceful day?" Poppy blinks up at him, slow content, already half dozing again. The sun rises a little higher, painting the hills with warm gold. The farm comes alive in small, cozy ways, a wooden gate clicking softly, a distant kettle whistling, the soft bleating of sheep greeting one another as if sharing morning gossip. And now, dear listener, your breath is softening, your body loosening, and you're settling deeper into the quiet rhythm. There's nothing you need to solve, nowhere you need to go. This is your moment to drift and rest and simply be. About now, I should gently whisper if these quiet tales are helping you drift off. A gentle like or a silent subscribe would mean the world. It helps this sleepy corner of the internet reach others who need a little calm too. I always wonder where in the world you are listening from right now. If you're still awake, leave a whisper of a comment, maybe your city and the time on your clock. It's a beautiful thing, this quiet little global gathering, all connected through stories and stillness. Now let's set the mood, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and get comfortable. Now we drift back to our story. The sheep have begun to gather in their usual morning circle. This is something they do every day, though no one least of all Old Marlow knows why. They form a gentle ring, nose to tail, and sway slightly, like woolly petals, around an invisible flower. It's their way of greeting the morning, a quiet ritual that seems to melt the last shadows of night away. There's Pip, the tiniest sheep on the farm, always stumbling sleepily because mornings are not his strongest skill. And Hazel, the oldest Away, wise and steady, always watching over the younger ones with calm eyes. Then there's Clover, who loves food more than anything, and often sneaks extra bites of Old Marlow's orchard apples when she thinks no one is watching. Together, they make the farm feel alive in the softest, friendliest way. But today, something unusual is happening. A strange scent floats through the breeze, drifting in from the farthest end of the pasture. A scent warm and rich and absolutely irresistible. Even Old Marlow lifts his head, sniffing thoughtfully. It's cheese. New cheese, fresh cheese. Cheese being made in the little barn where Old Marlow crafts small wheels of creamy goodness using milk collected from nearby farms. The sheep love cheese. They're not supposed to have it, but they love it. And whenever Marlow is making a new batch, they seem to sense it, as if drawn by some ancient woolly instinct. Poppy sniffs the air first. Hazel lifts her head next. Clover already looks like she's planning a heist. The breeze carries another warm, delicious wave of cheesy aroma, swirling softly through the hills, curling around each sheep like a whispered invitation. The flock starts inching, very slowly, toward the barn, pretending they're just casually stretching their legs. Old Marlow watches them with a small smile. "Here we go again," he mutters softly. And so begins the first little adventure of the day. The flock moved toward the barn in a slow, almost ceremonial march. Every hoofstep pressed gently into the soft grass, each one echoing the calm rhythm of a world waking slowly. Poppy led the way, her small woolly body bouncing slightly with each careful step. Clover followed close behind, her nose twitching at the scent that grew stronger with every inch closer to the barn. Hazel and the older sheep walked steadily, watching over the younger ones with quiet, patient eyes. Even the tiniest lambs in the herd seemed to sense the peaceful magic of this morning, their tiny legs moving carefully, almost in a trance. The barn itself was the coziest kind of building, painted a soft red that had faded in the sunlight over many years. Its wooden panels smelled faintly of hay and milk and something else, something comforting, like home. The doors creaked gently as Old Marlow pushed them open, and the flock followed with a soft shuffle. their wool brushing against each other in tiny, reassuring whispers. Inside, the air was warmer, touched with the faint aroma of cheese in the making. A low hum of bubbling milk and the quiet stirrings of the small wooden paddles filled the barn like a lullaby, gentle and soothing. The first thing the sheep noticed was the wheel of soft, creamy cheese resting on a low table. Its surface gleamed slightly, smooth and fresh, the rich scent curling through the barn and filling every corner. Clover's eyes widened, and she almost stumbled over Poppy in her excitement. Hazel let out a soft bleat of warning, but even she couldn't hide the tiny spark of curiosity in her gaze. Every sheep in the barn turned to the cheese, their wool bristling slightly in anticipation. "Patience," Old Marlow whispered, though no one was listening. He set down a small wooden spoon and stirred the warm, thick milk slowly. The motion made the surface shimmer faintly, catching the morning light through the high windows. He hummed a soft, sleepy tune as he worked, a melody that seemed to blend with the quiet rustle of the sheep and the distant chirping of birds outside. It was the kind of rhythm that encourages breathing to slow, muscles to soften, and minds to drift just a little further toward calm. Poppy stepped forward, her nose twitching delicately. She sniffed the air once, then twice. Clover edged forward as well, careful to keep her balance, while trying to peek over Hazel's back. Even the older sheep couldn't resist the gentle pull of curiosity. The barn seemed alive with a quiet energy, a soft, magical invitation to pay attention, to notice the tiny wonders of this simple morning. As the sheep settled around the table, the cheese began to change slightly. A faint golden glow shimmered along its edge, just enough to make it look extraordinary, almost as if the morning sunlight had found a way to rest itself there. The sheep blinked in wonder. Even the quietest, most composed members of the herd, who usually ignored little things, couldn't help but glance in awe. The air smelled warmer now, richer, almost like the gentle embrace of a soft blanket on a cool morning. Old Marlow noticed the glow too, and he smiled gently, though no one else would have heard him. "Ah," he said, "the farm has its quiet magic again." He stirred the milk one last time before setting the spoon down. The soft hum of his tune mingled with the sheep's gentle murmurs and the creaking of the wooden beams overhead. It was a harmony that encouraged slow, steady breaths, that reminded every listener that there was nothing to rush, nothing to worry about. The glow of the cheese grew slightly brighter for a moment, then settled into a gentle pulse, almost like a heartbeat. The sheep felt a curious warmth spreading through their wool, a feeling that was neither startling nor frightening, only soft, comfortable, and oddly reassuring. Poppy lowered her head and brushed her nose gently against the side of the table, as if acknowledging a small, friendly presence. Clover sniffed again, her nose twitching with delight. Even Hazel tilted her head slightly, considering the magic quietly, wisely. Outside, the morning sunlight poured through the barn windows, spilling in golden stripes that danced on the wooden floor. The sheep's shadows stretched long and soft across the hay-strewn ground. A gentle breeze passed through the open door, carrying the faintest hint of clover and distant hills. It was the kind of calm that could almost make the world pause, and the sheep seemed to feel it in every step, in every breath, in every flicker of their eyelids. After a few moments of quiet observation, Poppy bleated softly, the smallest, sweetest sound. It wasn't loud or urgent, just soft enough to be noticed if you were listening carefully. Clover responded with a gentle shuffle of her hooves. Hazel let out a low, calm bleat, almost like a nod of encouragement. Old Marlow moved quietly among them, patting a few on the back and murmuring a soft word of reassurance. He didn't rush them, didn't direct them, and didn't insist that they behave in any particular way. Instead, he simply existed alongside them in the quiet rhythm of the barn, a steady presence that allowed the magic to flow unhurriedly through the space. It was the kind of moment that encourages slow, even breathing, that eases muscles, that calms minds, and that gently lulls listeners into the kind of comfort that makes sleep feel possible even before the eyelids droop. Minutes passed like this, in slow, gentle harmony. The sheep adjusted themselves, settling closer to one another in the warmth of the barn. Poppy curled her tiny legs beneath her. Clover found a comfortable spot near the glowing cheese. Hazel reclined nearby, her steady eyes observing everything with quiet attentiveness. Even the youngest lambs rested, swaying slightly with the rhythm of soft breaths and the gentle warmth that wrapped the room. The golden glow of the cheese pulsed once more, soft and subtle, like a secret heartbeat shared between friends. And as the sheep rested in that warmth, in that quiet magic, every sound around them seemed to slow and soften. The hum of the morning air, the gentle clink of tools in the distant kitchen, the rustle of leaves beyond the barn walls. Every detail became part of the same soothing rhythm, wrapping the world in calmness, letting tension fall away, letting the mind drift closer to rest. And so, dear listener, the peaceful herd of New Zealand sheep spent the morning like this, gently attentive to the little wonders around them, calm in their curiosity, and wrapped in the soft magic of a world that felt perfectly still and safe. The morning in the barn stretched on quietly, like a soft sigh that drifted without effort. The sheep remained clustered around the glowing wheel of cheese, their eyes half-lidded, their breaths slow and steady. Even the smallest movements felt peacefully, gentle twitch of an ear, the soft shuffle of hooves against the straw-strewn floor, the faint puff of warm air from their noses. The barn itself seemed to hum in harmony with them, as if the building and its occupants shared one long, slow breath. Poppy blinked slowly, the sunlight glinting softly off her fluffy white coat. She stretched her tiny legs and moved closer to Clover, who had found a cozy spot near a pile of fresh hay. Hazel watched them both with a faint, approving tilt of her head. Everything was quiet. Everything was calm. It was the kind of morning that encourages your thoughts to drift gently, like leaves carried on a slow stream. Outside, the gentle hills of the New Zealand farm were brushed with soft sunlight. The morning breeze carried the faint, sweet scent of clover and fresh grass. You could almost hear it rustling in slow waves across the rolling pastures. Farther off, a small brook glimmered faintly, reflecting the pale gold of dawn, whispering over smooth stones as it wound its way through the fields. It was the kind of landscape that felt designed for dreaming endless soft green hills, quiet sunlight, and the gentle murmur of nature. Inside the barn, the sheep began their subtle, habitual activities. Clover nibbled lightly at a stray tuft of hay, chewing slowly, deliberately. Poppy, feeling adventurous, stepped closer to the golden glow of the cheese. Hazel lifted her head to sniff the air, ensuring everything remained calm and familiar. Even the younger lambs, who often fidgeted and tumbled about, were now settling comfortably, their little bodies warm and soft against the straw beneath them. Old Marlow moved quietly among the herd, his footsteps gentle against the wooden floor. His hands lingered on a few of the sheep as he murmured soft words of reassurance. "Easy, easy, there you go." His voice was soft, like a lullaby, threading through the quiet barn and wrapping around each sheep like a cozy blanket. The rhythm of his movements, the calmness in his voice, and the steady pulse of the glowing cheese all worked together to slow the morning even further. As if the world outside had dimmed to the same sleepy tempo, Poppy's eyes followed a drifting sunbeam that filtered through a small window stretching across the barn floor in a golden ribbon. She stepped lightly into it, feeling the warmth sink into her wool. Clover watched her curiously, then gently moved to join her. Hazel, noticing their gentle interaction, allowed herself a soft exhale, the tension in her body melting with the comforting morning light. Even the smallest lambs curled into soft, rounded shapes, their heads resting on the straw as their breathing fell into a calm, even pattern. For a moment, everything seemed suspended in a quiet, timeless hush. The barn smelled faintly of straw, of warm wool, and of the golden, soft glow that seemed to hover over the cheese. The air was still but not silent. It was filled with subtle, almost imperceptible sounds, the gentle shuffling of hooves, the soft rustle of straw, the occasional quiet hum of Old Marlow's tune. Every noise contributed to the soothing rhythm, the slow cadence that invited you, dear listener, to let your thoughts drift gently and peacefully. The cheese, pulsing softly with its golden glow, seemed almost alive. Poppy, drawn by the warmth and the subtle magic of the moment, leaned closer, her nose brushing the edge of the wheel. A faint warmth spread through the air, brushing lightly against the wool of every sheep in the barn. Clover twitched her nose and sniffed carefully, feeling a gentle, comforting energy ripple through the space. Hazel let out a soft sigh, content and secure in the calm presence of both the cheese and the quiet herd. Outside, the farm slowly came to life in the softest, most peaceful way. A gentle breeze drifted across the hills, making the grass sway and ripple like soft waves. Birds called to one another in quiet bursts of song, distant and delicate. The sun climbed a little higher, painting the rolling fields with pale gold and soft green, washing the farm in a gentle warmth. It was a morning meant for calm and dreaming, for listening to the quiet sounds of the world and letting them settle into your mind and body. Inside, the sheep's activities remained quiet and harmonious. Poppy returned to her small spot on the hay, curling gently. Clover nibbled another soft piece of straw. Hazel closed her eyes for a moment, basking in the warmth and calm that filled the barn. Even the youngest lambs breathed slowly and evenly, their little bodies sinking deeper into the straw as if encouraged by the stillness around them. Every small detail, unnoticed in a hurried moment, became part of the serene symphony of the day, reminding the sheep hand, reminding you that calm and comfort are often found in the gentlest, quietest things. By now, Poppy had settled into a small, comfortable curl near Clover. Hazel rested her head against a bale of hay. The barn was bathed in warm, soft light, carrying the golden pulse of the cheese across every corner. The sheep's breathing grew slower, deeper. Every shuffle of hooves, every twitch of ears, every soft murmur became part of a lullaby of quiet farm life. And you, dear listener, may notice your own body begin to relax along with them, your thoughts drifting softly, gently, with nothing to rush toward, nothing to hurry for, nothing to do except listen and breathe. Even Old Marlow seemed caught in the calm. He leaned lightly against a post for a moment, closing his eyes, feeling the warmth of the barn and the quiet presence of the sheep. The world outside continued its gentle rhythm, the sun slowly rising, the hills bathed in gold, the soft hum of nature all around. But inside the barn, time felt suspended, stretched long and slow, like honey dripping softly, deliberately, perfectly. And so the morning passed in a soft, dreamlike harmony. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the youngest lambs remained peaceful, calm, and aware of the tiny magical pulses of comfort all around them. The barn smelled of straw, of wool, and of the golden glow resting gently on the cheese. Each soft sound and each warm breath contributed to the quiet symphony, encouraging gentle relaxation, calm, focus, and the kind of peacefulness that settles deep inside the mind and body. The gentle calm of the barn lingered as the sheep shifted slightly, stretching their legs and settling into comfortable positions. Poppy lifted her little head and blinked slowly, feeling the warmth of the golden cheese glow beside her. Clover quietly chewed on a small tuft of hay, savoring the simple rhythm of eating in the serene morning light. Hazel, wise and steady, observed the younger sheep with a calm, watchful presence, her breathing deep and even perfectly in sync with the soft pulse of the barn. Even the youngest lambs were curling up, letting the gentle comfort of the space seep through their wool, their tiny bodies relaxed and heavy against the straw. Outside, the wind carried the distant smell of clover and fresh dew across the hills. The sunlight stretched its soft fingers through the open windows of the barn, painting patterns on the wooden floor that shifted gently with the passing hours. Each ray of light felt like a warm caress, a quiet embrace that encouraged the sheep to sink deeper into restfulness, to notice the gentle magic in every corner of the familiar, beloved farm. His voice, soft and even, carried through the barn like a whisper of comfort. His presence was a steady anchor for the herd, a soft reminder that the world could be slow, quiet, and gentle when it needed to be. A small breeze drifted in through the open barn doors, carrying the faintest hints of grass and clover from the pastures outside. The sheep's wool rippled slightly in response, like soft waves across the rolling green hills. Even the sunlight seemed to move more slowly, lingering in soft golden pools on the straw, catching in the gentle folds of their coats. Poppy curled up near the glowing cheese once more, feeling the warmth radiate softly into her wool. Even the youngest lambs seemed to synchronize with the peaceful energy around them, their tiny bodies rising and falling in soft, steady breaths. The barn was alive with quiet comfort, each movement and sound contributing to the gentle symphony of a world perfectly at rest. Outside, the hills swayed gently in the morning breeze. The sun climbed higher, bathing the fields in soft light and creating long, lazy shadows that stretched across the pastures. The distant murmur of the brook carried faintly on the wind, adding a subtle melody to the quiet rhythm of the farm. Birds drifted from tree to tree, their wings moving in slow, fluid motions, calling to one another in gentle, melodic bursts. Everything was perfectly aligned with the unhurried pace of the morning, inviting deep relaxation and a sense of ease. Within the barn, a few playful moments quietly unfolded. Poppy nudged Clover once more, prompting a small shuffle of movement that spread like a wave through the surrounding sheep. Hazel blinked slowly, watching the interaction with serene amusement. Even the smallest lambs twitched their ears or stretched their legs, subtle reminders that life continued in gentle motion, even in a world of soft calm. Each movement was deliberate, careful, yet light, like a lullaby in motion, designed to soothe and relax anyone who noticed the details. Old Marlow stepped toward the glowing cheese again, stirring it lightly with his hand. The golden glow pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging the soft energy of the flock surrounding it. The warmth it radiated seeped into every corner of the barn, wrapping the sheep in a comforting embrace that felt like sunlight pressed gently against their wool. He hummed softly as he worked, a tune so subtle and soothing it seemed to blend perfectly with the rhythm of the sheep and the hum of the barn. Each note of his gentle melody was like a soft nudge toward deeper calm, helping to guide every listener into relaxation without effort. Minutes passed in this gentle harmony, each moment stretching like soft silk. Poppy rested her head against Clover, their small bodies warm and calm. Hazel exhaled slowly, letting herself fully absorb the quiet energy surrounding her. The youngest lambs, feeling the calm radiating from both the older sheep and the golden glow of the cheese, settled completely, their breathing soft and rhythmic. The barn was a sanctuary of quiet comfort, filled with warmth, gentle light, and the subtle hum of life flowing slowly and evenly around them. And as you, dear listener, imagine this tranquil scene, you may notice your own body relaxing along with them, shoulders dropping, jaw loosening, hands resting comfortably, your breath softening, falling into the same slow, even rhythm that guides the sheep in the barn. Every detail, the warmth, the golden glow, the soft rustle of straw, the gentle hum of Old Marlow's melody. The quiet breaths of the flock works together to create a cocoon of peaceful calm, inviting your mind to drift a little further, a little deeper into serenity. The morning continued like this, uninterrupted, soft and slow. Poppy, clover, hazel, and the lambs remained close together, enveloped in the warmth of the barn and the gentle glow of the magical cheese. The outside world moved at its own rhythm, the hills rolling, the sun rising, the breeze whispering over the fields, but inside, everything belonged to the calm, soothing present. It was a moment designed for gentle dreaming, for soft attention to the quiet details, and for surrendering fully to the peaceful rhythm of the farm. The afternoon light began to shift softly across the hills outside, brushing the pastures with warm, gentle hues. Shadows stretched long and lazy across the ground, drifting slowly like clouds, carried by a calm breeze. Inside the barn, the sheep remained nestled comfortably among the straw and the faint golden glow of the cheese. Poppy's tiny nose twitched as she sniffed the air, the warmth of the barn and the subtle magic of the moment making her feel safe and calm. Clover rested nearby, chewing quietly, her eyes soft and relaxed, while Hazel kept watch with a serene, unhurried gaze. A gentle breeze drifted through the open doors, carrying the faintest scent of clover and the distant hills. The sound was soft and subtle, a comforting rustle that blended perfectly with the quiet hum of the barn. It seemed almost as if the breeze itself were whispering, encouraging the sheep to settle further into comfort, to let their bodies sink into the straw beneath them, to allow their minds to drift with the rhythm of the calm morning. Even the youngest lambs, who often fidgeted and tumbled, were now quiet, curling gently into the soft warmth surrounding them. Old Marlow moved quietly among the flock, his steps light against the wooden floor. He hummed softly as he went, a slow, melodic tune that blended seamlessly with the subtle sounds of the barn. His presence was calming, steady, a quiet anchor that allowed the sheep to relax completely. Each soft pat of his hand on a woolly back seemed to transmit reassurance, a gentle reminder that they were safe, that the world outside could wait, and that this moment, soft, slow, and peaceful, was all that mattered right now. Poppy lifted her head and blinked slowly, her fluffy ears twitching in response to the soft hum of the barn. She shifted slightly closer to Clover, seeking the comfort of companionship. Clover responded with a gentle nudge, and Hazel gave a quiet, approving bleat. Even the youngest lambs lifted their heads briefly, listening to the soft cadence of the barn, before curling back into soft, round shapes on the straw. Every movement was calm, deliberate, and gentle, reinforcing the quiet rhythm of the day. The golden glow of the cheese pulsed softly, warm and comforting. It spread its subtle energy throughout the barn, brushing lightly against every woolly back and every soft breath. Poppy sniffed it once more, then leaned her head against the warm edge, letting the gentle pulse of light and warmth seep through her. Clover and Hazel shifted slightly closer, creating a small circle of calm energy, a soft sanctuary of comfort. Even the tiniest lambs seemed to feel the glow, their bodies relaxing further with each passing moment. Outside, the hills rolled in soft waves of green, bathed in gentle light. Birds called softly to one another from the trees, their wings moving slowly through the warm air. The distant brook whispered over smooth stones, creating a subtle, melodic sound that mingled with the faint rustle of leaves. Everything outside was part of the same peaceful rhythm, perfectly in sync with the slow, gentle cadence inside the barn. It was a world designed for calm, for drifting thoughts, for gentle attention to the quiet wonders of life. The sheep began to move slightly, adjusting their positions on the straw to find even more comfort. Poppy curled her legs beneath her, resting her head lightly on Clover's back. Clover shifted gently, allowing the soft weight to rest against her. Hazel exhaled slowly, eyes half closed, feeling the gentle warmth of the barn settle deeper into her body. Even the youngest lambs stretched briefly, their tiny movements soft and deliberate, then sank back into the calm rhythm of restfulness. Every motion, every breath, was part of the same soothing pattern, inviting stillness and comfort to deepen. Old Marlow paused near the glowing cheese, stirring it gently with a wooden spoon. The subtle motion made the surface shimmer faintly, reflecting the soft light that filtered through the windows. He hummed again, the slow melody merging with the ambient sounds of the barn, the shuffle of straw, the soft bleats of the sheep, the quiet creak of the wooden beams. It was a lullaby without words, a gentle rhythm that encouraged relaxation, slow breathing, and a sense of being fully present in the comforting now. The afternoon sun shifted, painting long, soft stripes of light across the barn floor. Dust motes floated lazily through the beams of sunlight, catching in the gentle warmth of the air. Each moted swirl moved like tiny stars suspended in calm stillness, adding another layer of peacefulness to the room. Poppy watched them drift, her tiny woolly ears twitching slightly, mesmerized by the soft dance of light. Clover's eyes followed one mottled swirl, then another, and Hazel tilted her head slightly, content to observe the subtle, quiet magic of the barn with calm attention. Minutes slipped by in slow, deliberate rhythm. The sheep's breathing grew even deeper, their tiny movements slower and softer. Poppy's eyes were half closed, Clover's jaw relaxed, Hazel's body fully settled, and the lambs rested completely, their tiny forms melding with the softness of the straw. Old Marlow hummed on a steady thread woven through the gentle fabric of the morning. The cheese pulsed faintly, golden and warm, as if in quiet acknowledgement of the peaceful energy surrounding it. Outside, the farm remained still in the best way possible. The wind shifted slightly, brushing the hills and carrying the faint scent of fresh grass across the pastures. The brook murmured gently, the sunlight shimmered on its surface, and the trees swayed in slow, lazy patterns, perfectly in tune with the unhurried rhythm of life on the farm. Every element, the barn, the sheep, the sunlight, the distant hills worked together in harmony, creating an environment that invited calm, deep breathing, and quiet relaxation. The sheep's subtle, synchronized movements continued to weave a lullaby of soft comfort. Poppy nestled closer to Clover, feeling the warmth radiate through her wool. Clover adjusted slightly, letting the gentle pressure create a sense of grounding and safety. Hazel exhaled softly, closing her eyes, sinking fully into the soft calm. Even the youngest lambs seemed to drift further into the rhythm, their tiny bodies rising and falling with slow, steady breaths that matched the gentle pulse of the barn and the golden glow of the cheese. And as you, dear listener, imagine this serene scene, you may notice your own body beginning to relax more deeply. Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens, your hands rest comfortably. Your breath slows, falling into a soft, steady rhythm, matching the quiet cadence of the sheep in the barn. Every detail, the warmth, the glow, the soft straw, the gentle hum of Old Marlow's tune, helps your mind drift, letting the calm, sleepy magic of the farm wrap around you, inviting rest, tranquility, and the slow, comforting descent toward gentle sleep. The soft glow of the afternoon continued to warm the barn, stretching lazily across the straw and the woolly backs of the herd. Poppy rested her little head on Clover's side, feeling the steady warmth radiating through her friend's wool. Clover remained calm, chewing gently, her slow movements blending seamlessly with the quiet rhythm of the barn. Hazel's eyes were half closed, and even the youngest lambs had curled into tight little bundles, their breathing soft and regular, perfectly matched with the gentle pulse of the golden cheese. The barn itself seemed to sigh in contentment, every beam of wood and every dust-moted swirl moving in perfect harmony with the serene herd. Outside, the hills of New Zealand rolled softly under the afternoon light. Shadows stretched long across the fields, painting gentle patterns on the grass. A light breeze drifted over the landscape, carrying the faint scent of clover and wildflowers, weaving through the trees and across the pastures. Birds moved slowly from branch to branch, calling softly to one another. Even the distant murmur of a brook seemed to slow, as if the entire farm were participating in the same unhurried, gentle rhythm that filled the barn. The world outside and the world inside the barn were connected in the same calm, timeless dance of peace. Old Marlow moved quietly among the sheep, his bare hands brushing lightly against the tops of their woolly backs. He hummed a soft melody that blended with the quiet sounds of the barn, the soft shuffle of hooves, the gentle rustle of straw, the occasional low bleat. His presence was steady, calm, and reassuring, a constant thread of quiet comfort that held the space together. Each gentle touch, each soft word, encouraged the herd to sink deeper into relaxation, reinforcing the sense of safety, warmth, and serenity that filled every corner of the barn. Poppy twitched her tiny ears as she listened to Old Marlow's soft humming. Clover adjusted her position slightly, curling closer to the golden glow of the cheese, which pulsed faintly in response to the peaceful energy around it. Hazel's breathing became even slower and steadier, a deep exhale releasing any trace of tension from her muscles. The youngest lambs nestled further into the straw, their tiny bodies completely still, fully absorbed by the serene rhythm that filled the barn. Every movement was slow, deliberate, and soft, contributing to the hypnotic lull of the peaceful environment. The golden glow of the cheese remained steady, radiating warmth through the barn and brushing lightly against the wool of the sheep. Poppy leaned closer, her small nose brushing against the edge of the wheel, feeling its gentle pulse. Clover twitched her nose, inhaling the subtle, comforting scent, while Hazel tilted her head slightly, observing the soft, magical presence without alarm or surprise. Even the youngest lambs seemed to sense the gentle energy, their breathing sinking further with the rhythm of the barn. It was a quiet magic, one that did not demand attention, but instead invited calm, rest, and gentle ease. Outside, the sunlight shifted slowly, casting soft, golden patterns across the hills. The breeze carried whispers of distant trees, the faint ripple of the brook, and the subtle hum of the farm's life. Everything moved at its own unhurried pace, the grass bending gently in the wind, birds hopping slowly from branch to branch, clouds drifting lazily across the sky. The world seemed perfectly aligned with the gentle rhythm inside the barn, creating a seamless connection between the life within and the life without, a peaceful harmony designed for quiet reflection and deep relaxation. Poppy blinked slowly, letting the softness of the barn and the warmth of the cheese seep into her tiny body. Clover chewed with ease, moving deliberately and slowly, as if in a meditative rhythm. Hazel exhaled once more, sinking a little deeper into the straw, feeling the gentle security of the space all around her. The youngest lambs remained curled, their tiny bodies rising and falling with each slow breath, perfectly in sync with the quiet pulse of the barn. Every detail, the warmth, the soft textures, the gentle hum of life helped weave a cocoon of calm around them and around anyone listening. Old Marlow paused near the glowing cheese, lifting the wooden spoon and stirring it slowly, almost meditatively. The surface shimmered faintly in the soft afternoon light, reflecting a calm energy that radiated outward. He hummed quietly, the melody merging with the soft, hypnotic sounds of the barn, the gentle shuffle of straw, the soft bleats of the sheep, the subtle creak of wooden beams. Each movement, each note, encouraged a deeper state of relaxation, drawing both the flock and the listener further into serenity and quiet comfort. A few motes of dust drifted lazily through the beams of sunlight, sparkling softly as they floated downward. Poppy's eyes followed their slow, deliberate movements, her small ears twitching with curiosity. Clover's gaze lingered on one mottled swirl, then another, and Hazel tilted her head, appreciating the quiet beauty without distraction. Even the youngest lambs seemed aware of the gentle dance of light and warmth, their tiny bodies settling further into the soft rhythm of the barn. Every detail, no matter how small, added to the hypnotic calm that enveloped the space. Minutes passed slowly, comfortably, as the herd remained in their peaceful rhythm. Poppy rested her head lightly against Clover. Clover's body relaxed into the warmth of the straw, and Hazel's steady presence reinforced the overall calm. Even the tiniest lambs remained curled, their breathing soft and rhythmic, rising and falling in perfect harmony with the ambient pulse of the barn. Old Marlow hummed quietly, weaving the soft melody into the space, each note a gentle invitation to deeper calm and quiet reflection. As the sun moved higher, its warmth filled the barn with soft light, adding another layer of comfort. The glow of the cheese pulsed faintly, golden and steady, as if acknowledging the peaceful energy flowing through the sheep and the space around them. The gentle sounds of the farm rustling grass, distant birds, the murmur of the brook blended seamlessly with the quiet rhythm of the barn, reinforcing the hypnotic, comforting environment. Every element worked together to invite relaxation, slow breathing, and the kind of deep, gentle calm that encourages sleep. Poppy shifted slightly, settling more comfortably beside Clover. Hazel's head rested fully on the straw, her eyes closed in soft meditation. Even the youngest lambs' breathing deepened, their tiny bodies completely relaxed, fully in tune with the gentle rhythm around them. Old Marlow moved lightly among the flock, his presence a quiet anchor that maintained the sense of calm and security. Every sound, every movement, every breath contributed to a peaceful, tranquil space, perfectly designed to soothe the mind, ease the body, and allow the listener to drift further toward sleep. The barn remained softly bathed in the afternoon light, the warmth settling gently into every corner. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the youngest lambs had all shifted slightly in their places, finding the perfect positions for comfort and rest. The gentle pulse of the golden cheese radiated warmth through their wool, a subtle, hypnotic presence that seemed to synchronize with the soft rhythm of the barn. Every sound, the shuffle of straw, the faint murmur of the sheep. The distant hum of the farm beyond the doors blended into a peaceful lullaby. Outside, the hills rolled in soft waves of green under the gentle sun. A breeze carried the faint scent of clover and distant wildflowers, moving lazily across the pastures. Birds drifted between trees, their wings catching the light and their soft songs drifting on the wind. The brook gurgled gently over smooth stones, a subtle accompaniment to the tranquil harmony within the barn. The entire farm, both inside and out, existed in a calm, unhurried rhythm that seemed to stretch time into something slower, softer, and easier to breathe. Old Marlow moved quietly among the sheep, his bare hands brushing lightly against their backs. He hummed a slow, soothing tune that seemed to pulse in harmony with the golden glow of the cheese. His presence was a constant anchor, reassuring the herd with quiet energy, steady and unhurried. Every touch, every soft word encouraged the sheep to sink deeper into their comfort, allowing tension to melt away from their bodies. The barn became a cocoon of warmth, light, and gentle magic, a perfect sanctuary for rest and calm. Poppy twitched her little ears, listening to the hum of Old Marlow's melody. She shifted slightly closer to Clover, seeking companionship and warmth. Clover adjusted her position with careful deliberation, letting Poppy rest against her. Hazel exhaled slowly, relaxing further into the straw beneath her. The youngest lambs, curled like small tufts of cloud, breathed softly, their tiny bodies moving gently with each inhale and exhale. Every motion, every breath, blended with the serene rhythm of the barn, creating an enveloping cocoon of peace. The soft glow of the cheese continued to pulse faintly, casting golden light across the barn floor. Poppy leaned her small nose against it, feeling its warmth seep into her wool. Clover's gaze followed the gentle shimmer. Hazel watched with calm fascination, and the lamb's tiny forms seemed to absorb the subtle magic. The barn itself felt alive in the quietest, most soothing way, a sanctuary where every sound, scent, and movement encouraged gentle relaxation. Outside, the sun continued its slow journey across the sky, spilling soft light over the rolling hills. The breeze carried the subtle murmur of trees, the gentle ripple of the brook, and the faint chorus of birdsong. Everything moved at its own slow, deliberate pace, perfectly in harmony with the quiet rhythm inside the barn. Even the distant farm sounds the soft clinking of tools. The occasional low bleat from the far pasture fit seamlessly into the hypnotic melody of calm that enveloped the scene. Inside, the sheep began small, deliberate movements. Poppy shifted her legs, stretching lightly while maintaining her cozy curl. Clover chewed with slow precision, savoring each bite of straw as if it were part of a gentle meditation. Hazel tilted her head slightly, relaxing further into the warm straw beneath her. The youngest lambs twitched their ears and stretched softly, their tiny motions rhythmic and unhurried, perfectly aligned with the overall sense of calm and serenity. Every action added to the hypnotic rhythm, inviting both the sheep and the listener to sink deeper into restfulness. Old Marlow paused by the glowing cheese, stirring it slowly with a wooden spoon. Each gentle movement made the surface shimmer faintly, reflecting the golden warmth that filled the barn. He hummed softly, weaving a melody into the quiet sounds of the barn, the shuffle of hooves, the rustle of straw, the low bleats of contented sheep. Each note encouraged slower breathing, deeper relaxation, and a sense of gentle security. letting the calm energy flow through the barn like sunlight through a quiet morning mist. The afternoon passed in this unhurried rhythm. The sheep, basking in warmth and light, became even more still and relaxed. Poppy rested her head on Clover. Clover shifted slightly for comfort. Hazel exhaled slowly with closed eyes, and the youngest lambs curled deeper into the straw, their bodies rising and falling with calm, even breaths. Old Marlow moved softly among them, maintaining the gentle, protective presence that allowed the herd to feel perfectly safe and at ease. Every sound, every soft movement, contributed to the hypnotic lull of the barn. Outside, the hills shimmered with subtle colors as the sunlight changed, adding soft highlights to the pastures. The breeze carried the distant whisper of flowing water and the faint scent of grass and clover. Birds moved from tree to tree in slow, fluid patterns, their calls delicate and soothing. The farm, both inside and out, seemed to exist in perfect harmony. A living meditation where every element contributed to calm, quiet restfulness. Inside the barn, the herd remained calm and peaceful. Poppy twitched her ears lightly, Clover chewed slowly, Hazel exhaled a deep, steady breath, and the youngest lambs rested fully, their tiny bodies sinking deeper into comfort. The golden glow of the cheese pulsed gently, radiating warmth and tranquility through the barn. Every soft sound, every subtle movement encouraged stillness, relaxation, and the kind of deep, comforting calm that helps both sheep and listener drift closer to sleep. As you imagine this peaceful scene, dear listener, you may feel your body relax even further. Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens, your hands rest comfortably in your lap or by your sides. Your breath slows, your chest rising and falling with ease. Every detail, the warm glow, the gentle hum, the subtle movements of the herd, the soft rhythm of Old Marlow's melody helps your mind drift gently, allowing your thoughts to settle, your muscles to release, and your body to sink comfortably into the moment. And as the afternoon light softens and the shadows lengthen, the barn becomes an even more perfect sanctuary. The sheep remain in their calm positions, the golden cheese pulses softly, and Old Marlow's gentle humming continues. Outside, the hills and pastures move in quiet harmony with the scene inside, each element inviting deeper relaxation, slow breathing, and the peaceful ease of a world perfectly aligned with rest. As the late afternoon draped the hills in soft amber light, the barn itself seemed to sink further into tranquility. Dust motes floated lazily through the beams of sunlight, catching the golden glow from the cheese and adding a subtle sparkle to the warm, cozy space. Poppy shifted slightly, stretching her tiny legs, her soft wool brushing gently against Clover. Clover leaned closer, providing a comforting presence as Hazel exhaled slowly, settling deeper into the straw. Even the youngest lambs, curled like little clouds of softness, let themselves sink further into the gentle rhythm of the barn. Old Marlow moved quietly among the flock, his movements slow and deliberate. Every step he took made the wooden floor creak softly, a faint, steady sound that harmonized with the quiet shuffles of the sheep and the low hum of his soft melody. He brushed a gentle hand across Poppy's wool, a subtle touch that carried warmth, reassurance, and calm energy. The sheep responded instinctively, shifting slightly, relaxing further, and sinking deeper into the straw. The barn, alive with this rhythm, felt like a sanctuary perfectly designed for peaceful rest. Outside, the gentle hills stretched under the fading sunlight, The breeze carried the faint, sweet scent of clover and freshly mown grass across the pastures. Birds moved lazily between the trees, calling to one another in soft, melodic bursts that blended perfectly with the natural rhythm of the farm. The distant brook murmured quietly, its waters reflecting the warm glow of the late afternoon sun. The outside world and the quiet sanctuary inside the barn seemed to exist in perfect synchrony, each supporting the other in a gentle, peaceful dance. Poppy's nose twitched softly as she smelled the warm air in the barn. She shifted slightly to nestle more comfortably against Clover, who responded with a faint nudge. Hazel tilted her head, listening to the soft harmony of movement and sound around her. The lambs remained curled and still, their tiny breaths forming a subtle rhythm that blended seamlessly with the pulse of the barn. Every detail, the warmth, the soft textures, the gentle hum of life, worked together to create an atmosphere of serene, hypnotic calm. The golden glow of the cheese continued to pulse gently, casting soft, flickering light across the floor and walls. Poppy leaned her small head toward it, feeling its warmth seep into her wool. Clover and Hazel watched the shimmer quietly, content in the gentle magic it radiated. The barn's calm seemed to deepen with each passing moment, and the soft melody of Old Marlow's humming added another layer of peace. Even the youngest lambs twitched faintly in their sleep, their tiny movements a part of the slow, soothing rhythm. Outside, the sun dipped lower, brushing the hills with soft streaks of gold and pink. The breeze whispered through the trees and over the fields, carrying the faintest hum of distant life. Birds flew lazily across the sky, their soft songs merging with the gentle rustle of the leaves. Every element of the landscape moved in harmony with the barn, as if the entire world had paused, breathing slowly, sinking into the same calm rhythm that filled the sanctuary within. Inside, Poppy and Clover adjusted slightly, finding a more comfortable alignment for their rest. Hazel exhaled slowly, sinking deeper into the straw, while the youngest lambs curled tighter, their tiny bodies perfectly aligned with the gentle pulse of the barn. Old Marlow hummed again, each note a soft wave of calm, weaving through the barn and blending with the sheep's soft breathing, the subtle rustle of straw, and the faint shimmer of golden light. Everything worked together in perfect harmony, a slow, hypnotic lullaby for both the flock and anyone listening. The afternoon passed gently, each moment stretching like warm honey across the barn floor. The sheep's small movements were deliberate, careful, and calm. Poppy twitched her ears, Clover chewed slowly, Hazel shifted slightly for comfort, and the lambs breathed evenly, rising and falling in harmony with the subtle pulse of the barn. The golden glow of the cheese provided a warm, steady presence, radiating quiet energy that wrapped around the barn like a comforting blanket. Every sound, every touch, every gentle breath contributed to the hypnotic rhythm. Old Marlow moved to the window, pausing to glance at the hills bathed in soft, fading light. He could see the farm stretching gently into the distance, the sun creating long shadows that moved slowly across the fields. Returning to the barn, he stirred the golden cheese gently, its surface shimmering faintly in response to his touch. He hummed softly, each note blending into the barn's quiet symphony of calm, reinforcing the sense of safety and relaxation that surrounded the herd. The barn was alive, with small, subtle details that encouraged even deeper calm. The dust motes drifted lazily in the warm sunlight, catching in the soft glow of the cheese. A faint creak of the wooden beams echoed gently, as if whispering along with the soft shuffles of the sheep. The breeze brushed faintly through the open doors, carrying a hint of clover and wildflowers, further blending the quiet outside world with the tranquil interior. Every sound, every sensation worked together to weave a cocoon of gentle relaxation. Poppy shifted slightly, resting her nose lightly on Clover's back, feeling the steady warmth of her wool. Clover responded with a small, soft adjustment, allowing Poppy to sink further into comfort. Hazel exhaled, her eyes half closed, completely absorbed by the hypnotic calm of the moment. The youngest lambs, curled like small tufts of cloud, breathed slowly and evenly, fully aligned with the rhythm of the barn. Each tiny motion, each faint sound, reinforced the soothing energy, lulling everyone further into a serene, restful state. And now, dear listener, as the sun continues to fade and the world outside grows softer and quieter, you may notice your own body relaxing further. Your shoulders release tension, your jaw softens, your hands rest comfortably. Your breathing slows, your chest rising and falling in rhythm with the quiet pulse of the barn. Every detail, the warm glow of the cheese, the soft rustle of straw, the gentle hum of Old Marlow's tune, the calm presence of the sheep wraps around you like a gentle blanket, inviting your mind and body to sink deeper into rest. The barn's atmosphere remains perfectly still and warm. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the lambs rest quietly, their small movements and steady breathing blending seamlessly into the hypnotic rhythm. Old Marlow hums softly, moving with deliberate calm. Outside, the hills glow faintly under the last light of day, the breeze carrying soft whispers of nature. Everything exists in slow, deliberate harmony, a world perfectly designed for gentle relaxation, peace, and calm. As the day slowly gave way to evening, the barn's warmth deepened, wrapping every corner in a soft, gentle glow. Poppy rested her head lightly on Clover's wool, her eyes half closed in calm comfort. Clover chewed slowly, deliberately, as if savoring not only the straw but the gentle rhythm of the barn itself. Hazel exhaled softly, the tension in her body melting with each breath. The youngest lambs curled even tighter into the straw, their little bodies soft and still, perfectly synchronized with the hypnotic pulse of the golden cheese. Outside, the hills were bathed in soft twilight. Shadows deepened gradually across the pastures, and the breeze carried the faint, sweet scent of clover and distant wildflowers. Birds returned to their nests, their soft calls fading into quiet whispers that mingled with the gentle rustle of leaves. The brook's murmur became almost hypnotic, each ripple of water catching the last of the sun's light, reflecting a faint shimmer that added a subtle magic to the scene. The entire farm inside and out seemed to breathe in a slow, harmonious rhythm, perfectly in tune with the peaceful energy of the barn. Old Marlow moved slowly among the sheep, his hands brushing gently over their wool. He hummed softly, a melody that blended seamlessly with the soft shuffles of the sheep, the rustle of straw, and the subtle flicker of the golden cheese. Every note of his tune encouraged slower breathing, deeper relaxation, and a sense of quiet security that spread through the barn like a gentle tide. The barn felt almost alive in its quiet magic, each tiny detail from the warm sunlight spilling through the windows to the soft rustle of straw encouraging the listener to sink deeper into relaxation and comfort. Outside, the fading sunlight painted the hills in hues of gold and soft purple. The breeze whispered through the trees and across the fields, carrying the delicate hum of the evening. Birds moved slowly from branch to branch, and the brook murmured its gentle song. Even the distant sounds of the farm, the faint clang of tools, or the soft bleat from the pastures blended seamlessly into the hypnotic melody of calm. Everything moved at a gentle pace, perfectly synchronized with the tranquility inside the barn. Inside, the herd shifted slightly for comfort. Poppy curled her legs beneath her, resting her head against Clover. Clover chewed slowly, every bite a small meditation. Hazel tilted her head, exhaled, and allowed her body to sink fully into the straw. The youngest lambs shifted, curling even tighter, their soft breaths rising and falling in perfect rhythm with the subtle pulse of the barn. Every tiny movement reinforced the slow, steady cadence of restfulness, inviting both the sheep and the listener into deeper calm. Old Marlow paused by the cheese, stirring it slowly. The golden glow shimmered faintly, casting a warm light that seemed almost magical. He hummed softly, the melody weaving into the quiet symphony of the barn, the shuffling straw, the sheep's gentle breaths, the faint creak of the wooden beams. Every note helped deepen the hypnotic calm, guiding the herd and the listener toward a state of serenity and gentle, peaceful relaxation. The barn was filled with subtle, comforting details that encouraged even more ease. Dust motes floated lazily in the warm light, catching in the soft glow of the cheese. The occasional creak of the barn's wooden beams whispered in quiet rhythm with the soft movements of the sheep. A gentle breeze brushed through the doors, carrying the faint scent of clover and the soft sounds of the outside farm. Each element, subtle and deliberate, wove together into a cocoon of peace and hypnotic comfort. Poppy adjusted slightly, resting her tiny nose against Clover's wool. Clover leaned into the contact, providing warmth and a sense of steady companionship. Hazel exhaled fully, sinking deeper into the straw, while the youngest lambs remained curled, breathing slowly and evenly. Every small movement, every subtle sound, and every warm pulse of the golden cheese worked together to create a hypnotic lullaby, inviting deeper calm and gentle surrender to the serene environment. Even as the sun fully dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the hills outside, the barn maintained its soft, golden warmth. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the lambs rested quietly, their bodies and minds fully aligned with the hypnotic rhythm of the barn. Old Marlow hummed a slow, soothing tune, moving carefully among the sheep, maintaining a constant thread of calm energy. Outside, the gentle breeze, the murmuring brook, and the distant night sounds harmonized with the barn's quiet energy, creating an environment perfectly suited for deep relaxation. And now, dear listener, as the evening deepens and the world outside grows quieter, you may notice your own body letting go of any tension. Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens, and your hands rest comfortably. Your breathing slows and deepens, following the gentle rhythm of the barn and the flock. Every detail, the warmth, the soft rustle of straw, the golden glow of the cheese, the calm humming of Old Marlow, the peaceful presence of the sheep wraps around you like a soft, comforting blanket. Your mind drifts slowly, gently, toward a place of calm and quiet rest. Night had begun to settle over the hills, and the sky outside the barn slowly deepened into a soft, velvety shade of indigo. Stars peeked quietly through gaps in the clouds, their faint twinkles mirroring the gentle shimmer of dust motes drifting lazily through the barn's warm, golden light. Inside, Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the little lambs had all settled more deeply into the straw. The golden cheese pulsed softly, radiating warmth that touched each woolly back, each tiny breath, and each relaxed movement. Every corner of the barn was wrapped in gentle calm, the kind that seeps slowly into the mind and body. Old Marlow moved quietly along the barn's center aisle, his bare feet making almost no sound on the wooden floor. The melody seemed to wrap around each animal, encouraging them to sink even further into comfort, and it seemed to stretch outward, touching the listener as well, creating a sense of universal calm. Poppy twitched her little ears as the low hum of Old Marlow's melody filled the barn. She shifted slightly closer to Clover, curling her tiny body into the comforting warmth of her friend's wool. Clover adjusted gently, allowing Poppy to settle more completely. Hazel tilted her head, her breath slow and steady, eyes half closed as she absorbed the quiet rhythm of the barn. Even the youngest lambs, curled like tufts of soft cloud, aligned their tiny breathing with the pulse of the golden cheese and the gentle vibrations of the barn itself. Outside, the hills swayed gently in the soft night breeze. The faint scent of clover and grass drifted in from the fields, mixing with the subtle warmth and faint magical glow of the barn. Birds had grown quiet, and only the occasional rustle of leaves or distant murmuring of the brook reminded the world that life continued beyond the barn's cozy interior. The rhythm of the outside world was soft and unhurried, perfectly complementing the calm energy inside. Old Marlow paused near the glowing cheese, stirring it lightly with a wooden spoon. The surface shimmered faintly, reflecting the warm, golden glow throughout the barn. He hummed again, a gentle, continuous thread of sound that seemed to connect everything: the sheep, the barn, the fields beyond, and even the listener's mind. Each note of his melody encouraged slower breathing, gentle release of tension, and the sinking sensation of being fully present in this warm, quiet space. Poppy closed her eyes briefly, feeling the warmth radiate through her wool and the soft pressure of Clover's back beneath her head. Clover exhaled slowly, chewing in a rhythm so deliberate and calm that it almost seemed meditative. Hazel relaxed fully, sinking further into the straw, her body and mind completely at ease. Even the youngest lambs moved in tiny, subtle motions, curling a little tighter or shifting a small tuft of straw, each movement harmonizing with the hypnotic rhythm of the barn. Everything in the space, no matter how small, contributed to the gentle, continuous lull of calm. The golden cheese pulsed softly, filling the barn with warmth that seemed almost alive. Poppy leaned closer, inhaling the subtle aroma, feeling its energy seep through her wool. Clover glanced at the gentle shimmer. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lambs continued their slow, even breaths, absorbed completely in the tranquil environment. The barn's atmosphere was saturated with peace. Every sound, every movement every faint vibration orchestrating the perfect lullaby of comfort. Outside, the sky had grown darker, the last traces of twilight fading into deep indigo. Stars twinkled faintly, soft and distant, while the night breeze carried the subtle, sweet scent of the fields. The brook murmured gently, flowing steadily and calmly, almost as if it too were aware of the slow, deliberate rhythm of the barn. The quiet of the evening and the hypnotic harmony of the world outside mirrored the calm inside, wrapping the barn in a cocoon of serenity and gentle magic. Inside, the herd remained perfectly aligned with the rhythm. Poppy nestled against Clover. Clover chewed with ease. Hazel's steady exhalations filled the quiet space, and the youngest lambs continued their gentle, synchronized breathing. Old Marlow hummed softly, his gentle melody weaving through the barn's natural sounds, the rustle of straw, soft shuffles of wool, the faint creak of beams, creating a hypnotic effect that encouraged relaxation, calm, and the gentle descent toward sleep. The dust motes continued to drift slowly through the barn's soft light, catching the golden shimmer and moving lazily in slow arcs. Poppy watched their subtle dance, ears flicking occasionally, while Clover's gaze followed the shimmering motes without moving her body. Hazel tilted her head, observing the tiny floating lights in quiet wonder. Even the smallest lambs seemed aware of the soft movement, their tiny breaths rising and falling in perfect alignment with the slow, calm rhythm of the barn. Every detail of light, sound, and movement reinforced the hypnotic comfort. Old Marlow moved lightly to the barn door, opening it just slightly to let in a faint, cool night breeze. The soft air mingled with the warm glow of the barn, creating a perfect balance of comfort and freshness. He returned to the herd, stirring the cheese gently, its golden warmth pulsating in soft harmony with the quiet breathing of the sheep. Each note of his humming, each gentle movement, encouraged a deep, subconscious release of tension, guiding every listener toward restful serenity. And now, dear listener, as the stars begin to shimmer in the night sky and the gentle world outside settles into quiet darkness, notice your own body relaxing further. Your shoulders release tension, your jaw softens, your hands rest comfortably, your breath slows and deepens, following the subtle rhythm of the barn and the gentle pulses of warmth and calm. Every detail, the golden glow, the soft shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's humming wraps you in a cocoon of comfort, guiding you softly into a state of deep, peaceful rest. The barn settled into a deep, gentle stillness as night fully embraced the surrounding hills. The warm glow of the golden cheese continued to radiate throughout the space, softly illuminating the woolly forms of Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the tiny lambs. Each sheep breathed slowly, their little chests rising and falling in a quiet rhythm. The barn itself seemed to exhale, every beam of wood, every patch of straw, every dust-moted swirl imbued with calm. It was a perfect sanctuary where the outside world could pause, and every listener could feel themselves wrapped in quiet serenity. Old Marlow moved slowly along the barn aisle, his movements deliberate, careful, and calm. Each brush of his hands along the sheep's backs was tender, a silent reminder that they were safe, warm, and protected. He hummed softly, a steady, comforting melody that seemed to ripple through the barn like a gentle wave. Every note encouraged slower breathing, deeper relaxation, and a profound sense of peace. Poppy nestled closer to Clover, feeling the warmth and steady heartbeat beneath her. and Clover responded with a subtle nuzzle of reassurance. Hazel exhaled fully, melting further into the straw, and the lambs curled even tighter, their tiny bodies sinking into absolute comfort. Outside, the hills were now dark silhouettes against a sky dotted with twinkling stars. A soft breeze whispered through the pastures, carrying the faint, sweet fragrance of clover and wildflowers. The distant brook murmured steadily, a subtle lullaby that blended perfectly with the soft rustle of leaves and the gentle sounds of nocturnal life. Even the faraway calls of farm animals became soft, rhythmic echoes in the night. Every element of the landscape, near and far, contributed to the tranquil, hypnotic rhythm that filled both the barn and the listener's mind. Inside, the herd adjusted slightly to improve comfort without disturbing the calm. Poppy tucked her tiny legs beneath her body, pressing her wool against Clover. Clover shifted a little, ensuring Poppy remained warm and supported, and Hazel tilted her head, listening to the soft sounds of life around her. The youngest lambs breathed gently, rising and falling in perfect alignment with the golden pulse of the cheese. Every subtle movement, every quiet sound worked together to deepen the sense of stillness and security. Old Marlow hummed again, the soft tune flowing through the barn like warm honey. Each note encouraged the sheep to sink further into relaxation, and even the quiet listener could feel its soothing effect. Poppy's ears twitched slightly, following the gentle melody. Clover's chewing slowed into a rhythmic pattern. Hazel exhaled slowly, and the lamb's tiny breaths aligned with the hypnotic pulse. The barn became a living lullaby, each component of sound, movement, and warmth perfectly attuned to the gentle rhythm of calm. The golden cheese glowed warmly, casting faint reflections across the barn floor. Poppy leaned her head closer, inhaling its faint, comforting scent. Clover glanced at the shimmer. Hazel's eyes softened in quiet appreciation, and the lambs curled deeper, their tiny forms melting into the straw. The barn seemed alive with subtle magic, a combination of warmth, calm energy, and gentle rhythm that encouraged complete relaxation. Every moment was designed to be soothing, every detail a small thread in a tapestry of peaceful rest. Outside, the sky deepened into a richer shade of indigo, the stars twinkling softly. The night breeze continued its gentle journey across the hills, carrying the scent of the farm's greenery and the faint sound of flowing water. Birds had long since settled into their nests, leaving only faint nocturnal sounds to accompany the serene scene. Every element of the night mirrored the tranquility of the barn, creating a seamless connection between the peaceful interior and the calm, starlit exterior. Inside, the herd remained perfectly aligned with the gentle rhythm. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover chewed softly in meditation-like rhythm. Hazel exhaled slowly, and the youngest lambs breathed evenly and peacefully. Old Marlow moved deliberately among them, his hands brushing gently over woolly backs, a subtle reassurance that added to the barn's quiet, hypnotic energy. Each sound, the soft shuffle of straw, the faint hum of Marlow's tune, the gentle pulse of the cheese, contributed to the serene cadence of the barn. Dust motes floated slowly in the warm light, catching faint glimmers from the glowing cheese. Poppy's eyes followed their gentle dance. Clover's gaze rested on one softly drifting particle. Hazel observed quietly, and the lambs remained curled, attuned to the slow rhythm of the barn. Even the smallest details, the faint creak of a beam, the whisper of a breeze, the shimmer of warm light, comfort gently guiding the herd and the listener into deeper calm. Old Marlow paused near the barn door, opening it just slightly to let in a faint whisper of the cool night air. The subtle movement brought a fresh balance to the warm barn, blending the crisp night with the soft golden glow inside. He returned to the herd, stirring the cheese gently, the light pulsing softly in response to his touch. He hummed again, each note a gentle nudge toward calm, serenity, and the slow, satisfying descent into rest. And now, dear listener, as the barn's warm glow contrasts softly with the cool night outside, notice your own body sinking further into calm. Your shoulders release, your jaw softens, your hands rest naturally. Your breathing becomes slower, gentler, in harmony with the soft rhythm of the barn. Each detail, the golden light, the quiet shuffle of wool, the calm presence of the sheep, the gentle pulse of the cheese. Old Marlow's humming wraps around you like a protective, soothing blanket, guiding you gently toward a restful, peaceful state. The night deepened, soft and velvety, wrapping the hills of New Zealand in a blanket of calm. Stars twinkled faintly above the pastures, mirrored by tiny motes of dust drifting through the warm, golden light of the barn. Poppy rested snugly against Clover, feeling the steady warmth of her friend's wool. Clover's chewing was slow, deliberate, almost meditative, and Hazel exhaled fully, letting her body sink deeper into the straw. Even the smallest lambs curled in tighter, their tiny breaths synchronized with the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every corner of the space felt wrapped in quiet, serene magic. Old Marlow moved softly along the barn aisle, each footfall slow and deliberate. His hands brushed gently over the sheep's backs, a subtle transmission of calm energy. He hummed a low, soothing tune, each note weaving through the barn like a gentle tide. Poppy's ears twitched slightly as she followed the melody. Clover adjusted slightly to accommodate her friend, and Hazel relaxed further, her eyes closing in quiet serenity. The lamb's tiny movements matched the soft pulse of the cheese, the barn, and the gentle rhythm of the night. Outside, the hills were deep silhouettes under a sky sprinkled with stars. A gentle breeze carried the faint scent of clover and fresh grass, mingling with the warm, golden glow of the barn. The distant brook whispered quietly over smooth stones, while faint rustling of leaves blended seamlessly with the subtle hum of the evening. Even distant farm sounds softened into gentle echoes that harmonized with the calm rhythm inside. Everything, the barn, the hills, the sky worked together to create a perfect, slow, hypnotic cadence. Inside, the herd shifted slightly to improve comfort. Poppy tucked her legs beneath her body, pressing close against Clover. Clover leaned into her, the two of them forming a tiny island of warmth and safety. Hazel tilted her head, exhaling slowly, her body fully relaxed. The lambs curled further into the straw, their tiny chests rising and falling in a steady, synchronized rhythm. Every small motion, every breath, contributed to the hypnotic lull, inviting deeper calm and gentle surrender to the soft, sleepy environment. The golden cheese pulsed gently, casting soft light across the barn floor. Poppy leaned closer, inhaling the subtle warmth that radiated from it. Clover glanced at the shimmering surface. Hazel observed quietly, and the lambs remained curled, breathing in perfect rhythm. The barn seemed to breathe along with them, the subtle magic of warmth, light, and gentle rhythm enveloping the space, coaxing everyone toward a deep, serene calm. Outside, the sky darkened further. the stars twinkling faintly against the indigo canvas. The breeze whispered through the pastures, carrying the faint, sweet fragrance of clover and wildflowers. The brook murmured gently, a soft, continuous lullaby. Every element of the night outside mirrored the tranquility inside, creating a seamless harmony that made the barn feel even more like a sanctuary. Each soft sound and subtle movement worked in concert to deepen the sense of calm. Inside, the herd remained perfectly aligned with the slow, hypnotic rhythm. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover's chewing continued in a meditative rhythm. Hazel exhaled steadily, and the lamb's tiny breaths matched the pulse of the barn. Old Marlow hummed a soft, continuous tune, moving gently among the flock. Each subtle sound, each gentle movement, and each quiet vibration of warmth reinforced the sense of comfort, security, and hypnotic calm, lulling both the herd and any listener into deep relaxation. Dust motes floated lazily in the golden light, drifting in slow arcs through the beams of sunlight from the open doors. Poppy watched their gentle dance with sleepy curiosity. Clover's gaze rested softly on one moted swirl. Hazel tilted her head to observe the subtle shimmer, and the lambs remained curled, fully absorbed in the quiet harmony of the barn. Even the smallest details, the faint creak of a beam, the soft rustle of straw, the pulse of golden light, reinforced the hypnotic comfort of the space, encouraging deeper, slower breathing. Old Marlow paused briefly at the barn door, allowing a faint whisper of the cool night air to enter. The soft breeze mingled with the warm barn light, creating the perfect balance of comfort and freshness. He returned to the flock, stirring the cheese gently, the glow pulsing faintly in response. His humming continued, each note wrapping the barn in calm, every movement encouraging the sheephand, the listener, to relax more deeply. The world outside and the gentle warmth inside formed a seamless cocoon of quiet, hypnotic rest. And now, dear listener, as the night wraps softly around the hills and the stars glimmer quietly above, notice your own body letting go of tension. The barn continues its gentle rhythm, poppy, clover, hazel, and the lambs resting quietly, moving only as needed for comfort. Old Marlow's hum persists, blending seamlessly with the soft ambient sounds of the night and the faint natural melodies from outside. Every element of the scene, from the flicker of golden light to the whisper of the breezing, encourages the mind and body to relax further. The barn, the farm, and the quiet hills beyond all exist in perfect harmony, providing a slow, hypnotic cadence that helps you drift gently toward sleep. The night deepened further, wrapping the hills and pastures of New Zealand in a soft, tranquil darkness. The stars above twinkled faintly, their gentle shimmer mirrored in the warm, golden light of the barn. Inside, Poppy rested snugly against Clover, her tiny body warmed by the wool and the soft glow of the cheese. Clover chewed slowly, deliberately, and Hazel exhaled fully, sinking deeper into the straw. Even the youngest lambs, curled like soft tufts of cloud, breathed in gentle rhythm with the barn, the golden glow, and the hum of Old Marlow's soothing melody. The barn was alive with a calm, hypnotic energy that encouraged total relaxation. Old Marlow moved quietly among the sheep, his steps slow and deliberate. Each brush of his hands over their wool carried warmth, reassurance, and gentle energy. He hummed a low, steady tune, the notes weaving through the barn like a soft, flowing river. Poppy twitched her ears, listening, and shifted slightly closer to Clover. Clover adjusted, providing warmth and comfort. Hazel tilted her head and exhaled slowly, absorbing the serene rhythm, while the lamb's tiny breaths rose and fell in perfect sync with the barn's gentle pulse. Every detail, from the sway of a dust mote to the soft rustle of Shearing, forced a hypnotic calm. Outside, the hills were silhouetted under the deep indigo night sky. The breeze carried the faint scent of clover and fresh grass across the pastures. The brook whispered quietly as it flowed, a gentle lullaby that merged perfectly with the barn's internal rhythm. The leaves rustled softly. The occasional distant call of a night bird added subtle music to the darkness, and even far-off farm sounds blended seamlessly into the quiet, hypnotic pattern. The world seemed suspended in this gentle, unhurried cadence, perfectly aligned with the calm inside the barn. Inside, the herd adjusted slightly, finding deeper comfort. Poppy tucked her legs beneath her, resting her nose against Clover's warm wool. Clover leaned slightly, reinforcing the small island of warmth and reassurance between them. Hazel tilted her head, exhaling slowly, letting her body sink fully into the straw. The lambs curled tighter, their tiny breaths smooth and slow, synchronized with the pulse of the barn and the soft shimmer of the golden cheese. Each subtle movement, each gentle sound, added to the serene, hypnotic rhythm enveloping the space. Old Marlow paused by the cheese, stirring it gently with a wooden spoon. Its surface shimmered faintly, radiating a calm, warm light throughout the barn. He hummed softly, each note blending seamlessly with the quiet shuffle of the sheep and the subtle creak of the wooden beams. The golden glow pulsed with a soft, hypnotic rhythm, wrapping around each woolly form and touching the listener with invisible waves of comfort. Every detail, light, sound, touch worked together to deepen the sense of safety and relaxation, guiding all present toward restful serenity. The barn's subtle magic was everywhere. Dust motes floated lazily, catching the warm light and drifting in slow, mesmerizing arcs. Poppy's sleepy gaze followed their gentle movement. Clover's eyes rested softly on the drifting motes. Hazel tilted her head to observe the shimmer, and the lambs remained curled, their tiny bodies perfectly still. Even the faintest sounds, the whisper of a breeze, the creak of a beam, the pulse of the glowing cheese, added to the hypnotic tapestry of calm that wrapped the barn in soothing, sleepy energy. Outside, the night continued to settle over the hills. The stars glimmered faintly, distant and reassuring, while the breeze whispered softly across the pastures. The brook's quiet murmur echoed gently through the hills, a soft accompaniment to the peaceful rhythm of the barn. The world beyond seemed to echo the calm inside, the same slow, unhurried pace, as if the entire farm, hills, and sky were conspiring to encourage rest, relaxation, and deep, comforting sleep. Inside, the herd maintained its alignment with the hypnotic rhythm. Poppy rested comfortably against Clover. Clover chewed slowly. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lamb's breathing remained gentle and steady. Old Marlow hummed continuously, moving quietly among the sheep, reinforcing the tranquil, serene energy. Every sound, the rustle of straw, the soft shuffle of wool, the faint hum of melody, and the subtle pulse of the cheese worked together to create a cocoon of hypnotic calm, a place where body, mind, and spirit could relax completely. The barn's gentle light pulsed faintly, golden and steady. Poppy leaned toward the shimmer, inhaling the warmth. Clover's gaze followed the soft glow. Hazel exhaled deeply, and the lambs remained still, perfectly attuned to the barn's quiet rhythm. Every detail, the softness of the straw, the gentle pulse of light, the soothing hum of Old Marlow's tune, the warmth of the barn, the synchronized breathing of the sheep encouraged the listener to sink deeper, to relax further, and to allow every muscle and thought to release completely. And now, dear listener, as the night stretches on and the hills of New Zealand rest under a blanket of stars, feel your body sinking further into calm. Your shoulders release, your jaw softens, and your hands rest comfortably. Your breath slows, each inhale and exhale harmonizing with the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every detail, the golden glow, the soft shuffle of straw, the presence of the sheep, the gentle humming of Old Marlow, the pulsing warmth of the cheese wraps, you in a cocoon of peace, guiding you into the deepest, most restful state of calm. The barn settled into perfect stillness, the kind that feels almost sacred. The soft, golden glow of the cheese illuminated the gentle curves of the sheep and the cozy, straw-lined floor. Poppy's tiny body rested snugly against Clover, each of their warm breaths mingling in the quiet space. Hazel exhaled slowly, eyes closing as her body sank fully into the comfort of the straw. The little lambs, curled tightly like miniature clouds, mirrored the rhythm of the barn, their soft breathing a delicate echo of the golden cheese's gentle pulse. Each small sound shuffling hooves, a faint nuzzle, the tiny click of the wooden beams became a part of the hypnotic lullaby wrapping the space. Outside, the hills were soft shadows under the night sky. A gentle breeze stirred the grasses, carrying the subtle scent of clover and wildflowers. The brook murmured steadily over smooth stones, each tiny ripple joining the rhythm of the night. Birds had long since retreated to their nests, leaving the distant rustle of leaves and faint nocturnal calls as the only sounds. Everything moved slowly, carefully, in sync with the quiet energy inside the barn, reinforcing the sense of peace that seemed to exist everywhere at once. Old Marlow moved slowly among the flock, a comforting presence in the warm, golden light. Each brush of his hands along the wool was deliberate, gentle, and reassuring. He hummed softly, the low, melodic tones blending with the quiet shuffles of the sheep, the subtle crackle of straw, and the pulse of the cheese's warm glow. Poppy twitched her ears slightly, following the sound, curling closer to Clover. Clover adjusted to ensure her friend remained warm and safe. Hazel tilted her head and exhaled fully, letting her body melt deeper into comfort. Even the youngest lambs remained perfectly still, their tiny breaths rising and falling in synchrony with the barn's hypnotic rhythm. The golden cheese pulsed gently, the light radiating warmth and calm through every corner. Poppy leaned closer, inhaling its subtle, soothing scent. Clover watched the shimmering surface quietly. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lamb's tiny forms remained curled and peaceful. The barn seemed alive. Each detail, from drifting dust motes to faint creaks of the wooden beams, contributing to the hypnotic calm that encouraged deep, restorative relaxation. Outside, the night deepened. The stars above twinkled faintly, delicate points of light against the indigo sky. The breeze continued to carry the soft fragrance of the fields, and the brook's murmur echoed gently across the hills. Every element of the night, the slow rustle of leaves, distant farm sounds, and flowing water perfectly complemented the hypnotic rhythm inside the barn, reinforcing the feeling of serenity and deep rest. Inside, the herd remained aligned with the slow, hypnotic cadence. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover chewed softly, Hazel exhaled evenly, and the lamb's gentle breaths matched the barn's rhythm. Old Marlow hummed continuously, his presence radiating calm energy. Each small sound, the shuffle of straw, the soft pulse of the cheese, the quiet hum of his melody created a cocoon of comfort, a sanctuary of hypnotic relaxation that drew the listener deeper into the serene environment. Dust motes floated lazily in the golden light, moving in slow arcs that seemed almost choreographed. Poppy's gaze followed their dance briefly. Clover observed one quietly drifting. Hazel tilted her head to watch, and the lambs remained curled and still. Even the faintest details, the whisper of a breeze, the subtle shimmer of light, the pulse of warmth, reinforced the hypnotic calm of the barn, guiding all present toward a slower, deeper rhythm of rest. Old Marlow paused by the barn door, opening it slightly to let in a faint, cool night breeze. The soft air mixed with the warm glow inside, creating a perfect balance of comfort and freshness. Returning to the herd, he stirred the golden cheese, its glow pulsing faintly in time with the quiet hum of the barn. Each note of his soft melody wrapped the space in calm, encouraging the sheep hand, the listener, to sink further into tranquility. And now, dear listener, as the night stretches over the hills and the stars twinkle gently above, allow yourself to feel completely at ease. Notice your shoulders releasing, your jaw softening, and your hands resting comfortably. Your breath becomes slow and steady, harmonizing with the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every element, the golden glow, the soft shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's soothing hum, the pulse of the cheese envelops you in a protective cocoon of serenity, guiding you toward deep, restful sleep. The barn continues its gentle pulse. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the lambs remain quiet and still, their movements deliberate, their breathing slow and steady. Old Marlow's humming persists, blending with the subtle ambient sounds, the rustle of straw, the gentle shuffle of hooves, the faint creak of the wooden beams. Outside, the hills rest in shadow. The night breeze whispers softly, and the brook murmurs quietly. Every element, inside and outside, exists in perfect harmony, a hypnotic lullaby for the mind, body, and soul. The barn was now fully immersed in the gentle rhythm of night. The golden glow from the cheese cast a soft, warming light over every woolly back, every tuft of straw, every peaceful curve of the lambs' tiny bodies. Poppy nestled close to Clover, her body absorbing the warmth, while Clover chewed slowly, deliberately, each motion a meditation in itself. Hazel exhaled deeply, melting further into the straw, and the lamb's tiny breaths rose and fell in perfect harmony with the barn's pulse. Each sound, each motion, and each subtle detail of light worked together to reinforce the sense of calm and serenity that surrounded them. Old Marlow moved quietly among the herd, his feet making almost no sound on the barn's wooden floor. His hands brushed gently over the wool of each sheep, a tactile expression of reassurance and warmth. He hummed softly, a low, steady melody that wrapped the barn in its gentle energy. Poppy twitched her ears softly, Clover adjusted to ensure comfort. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lambs remained curled, their tiny bodies perfectly attuned to the rhythm. The barn seemed to breathe along with them, a living space of hypnotic calm where every detail invited rest and ease. Outside, the New Zealand hills were dark silhouettes beneath the star-strewn sky. A soft breeze whispered through the pastures, carrying the faint, sweet scent of clover and fresh grass. The distant brook murmured its gentle song, flowing steadily over smooth stones. Leaves rustled softly, and occasional distant night sounds blended seamlessly into the natural rhythm of the scene. The night outside mirrored the calm inside the barn, the two worlds moving in perfect, hypnotic harmony. Inside, the sheep remained perfectly aligned with the rhythm. Poppy rested against Clover. Clover's chewing continued slowly and steadily. Hazel exhaled in a relaxed, even pattern, and the lambs breathed softly and evenly. Old Marlow hummed continuously, his gentle melody filling every corner. The faint shuffle of straw, the soft pulse of golden light, and the quiet breathing of the flock created a cocoon of calm, a safe and soothing space where every listener could feel completely at ease. The golden cheese glowed softly, its warmth pulsing gently throughout the barn. Poppy leaned closer, inhaling the comforting scent. Clover's gaze rested on the gentle shimmer. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lambs remained curled, moving only slightly in their sleep. The subtle magic of the barnla drifting dust motes, the faint creaks of wood, the warm glow of the cheese worked in concert to lull everyone into a deeper state of relaxation. Each tiny sound, each gentle motion reinforced the hypnotic rhythm of calm. Outside, the night continued to deepen. Stars twinkled faintly. The soft night breeze carried the scents of clover and wildflowers, and the brook murmured a continuous lullaby. The distant rustle of leaves and occasional farm sounds blended seamlessly with the hypnotic rhythm of the barn. The hills and pastures, dark and quiet, seemed suspended in this slow, soothing cadence, perfectly aligned with the gentle energy within the barn walls. Inside, the herd remained in perfect synchrony. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover chewed deliberately. Hazel exhaled evenly, and the lambs breathed in gentle, rhythmic harmony. Old Marlow's hum continued, weaving through the barn and blending with every other subtle sound, the rustle of straw, the soft shuffle of wool, the pulsing light of the cheese. Together, these small details created a lullaby, a soothing rhythm that invited the listener to relax deeply, release tension, and sink into peaceful rest. Dust motes floated slowly through the warm barn light, moving in mesmerizing, lazy arcs. Poppy's gaze followed their movement for a moment. Clover observed one quietly drifting. Hazel tilted her head to watch, and the lambs remained curled and still, fully aligned with the gentle rhythm of the barn. Even the smallest details, the soft pulse of light, the faint whisper of the breeze, the subtle warmth of the barn, encouraged the listener to sink deeper into calm, releasing any lingering tension. Old Marlow paused at the barn door for a moment, letting a faint, cool breeze enter. The soft air mingled with the warm glow, balancing the barn's comforting heat. He returned to the flock, stirring the cheese gently, its warm glow pulsing faintly. His low, steady humming continued, each note a thread in the hypnotic web of calm that enveloped the barn. Every movement, every sound, Every gentle pulse of warmth and light guided the sheephand, the listener toward. And now, dear listener, as the hills of New Zealand rest beneath the starry sky, and the barn hums softly with the pulse of night, allow yourself to feel fully at ease. Notice your shoulders releasing, your jaw softening, your hands resting naturally. Your breath slows and deepens, matching the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every detail, the warm glow, the soft shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's soothing hum, the pulsing warmth of the cheese wraps, you in a cocoon of comfort, leading you softly toward the deepest, most restful sleep. The barn continues its serene rhythm. Poppy, clover, hazel, and the lambs remain quiet and still, each movement deliberate, each breath slow and steady. Old Marlow's humming persists, blending perfectly with the subtle sounds of the barn and the natural melodies of the night outside. Every element, from drifting dust motes to the faint murmur of the brook beyond the pastures, exists in perfect harmony, forming a hypnotic lullaby for the mind, body, and spirit, guiding you gently into a deep, peaceful slumber. The barn settled deeper into the gentle rhythm of night. The golden light from the cheese shimmered softly, casting warmth over every woolly back and tuft of straw. Poppy rested her tiny body against Clover, feeling the steady pulse of warmth beneath her. Clover's chewing slowed to a deliberate, meditative rhythm. Hazel exhaled fully, sinking even deeper into the comfort of the straw. The youngest lambs curled like soft clouds, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect harmony with the quiet pulse of the barn. Every sound, the gentle shuffle of straw, the faint creak of beams, the soft hum of Old Marlow's tune blended into a hypnotic lullaby of calm. Outside, the New Zealand hills were dark silhouettes beneath the starlit sky. A gentle breeze carried the faint scent of clover and wildflowers across the fields. The brook murmured quietly as it wound through the pasture, its rhythmic flow blending seamlessly with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant nocturnal sounds of the farm. Everything outside seemed to move slowly and deliberately, perfectly synchronized with the calm energy inside the barn. The world, both near and far, existed in a gentle, hypnotic harmony. Old Marlow moved quietly among the flock, careful not to disturb their deepening rest. Each hand that brushed gently over wool transmitted warmth and reassurance. He hummed softly, low and steady, each note wrapping the barn in quiet energy. Poppy twitched her ears faintly, shifting closer to Clover for comfort. Clover leaned into her friend, radiating warmth. Hazel exhaled once more, letting her body melt fully into the straw, and the lamb's tiny breaths aligned perfectly with the barn's pulse. Every subtle detail, the shimmer of golden cheese, the drifting dust motes, the quiet shuffle of strawy, forced the hypnotic sense of calm. The golden cheese glowed faintly, its warmth pulsing gently through the barn. Poppy sniffed the comforting aroma, leaning in closer. Clover watched the subtle shimmer. Hazel exhaled, and the lambs remained still and curled, completely relaxed. The barn seemed alive with quiet magic, every detail contributing to a slow, steady rhythm that encouraged deeper relaxation. Even the smallest sounds, the whisper of a breeze through the slightly opened door, the faint creak of a beam, the soft pulse of golden warmth, worked in harmony to lull the herd and the listener into complete calm. Outside, the night grew deeper and quieter. Stars twinkled softly above, while the breeze moved gently across the hills. The brook's subtle murmur echoed through the pasture, providing a natural lullaby that complemented the internal rhythm of the barn. Every detail of the night, the distant rustle of leaves, the faint chirp of a nocturnal bird, the soft whisper of the wind, added to the hypnotic calm, reinforcing the sensation of peace that enveloped both the barn and the listener. Inside, the herd remained fully aligned with the gentle rhythm. Poppy rested against Clover. Clover's chewing remained slow and deliberate. Hazel exhaled evenly, and the lamb's soft breathing harmonized perfectly. Old Marlow's humming continued steadily, blending with the other subtle sounds of the barn: the shuffle of straw, the soft rustle of wool, the faint glow of the cheese, creating a cocoon of calm, a sanctuary of peaceful, hypnotic relaxation. Every element of the barn, every sound, every motion encouraged the mind and body to release tension and sink deeper into restful tranquility. Dust motes floated slowly in the warm light, drifting in lazy arcs across the barn floor. Poppy's sleepy gaze followed their gentle movement. Clover's eyes rested softly on a drifting mote. Hazel tilted her head to observe, and the lambs remained curled, perfectly aligned with the hypnotic rhythm of the barn. The smallest details, the shimmer of light, the faint murmur of the brook outside, the pulse of warmth reinforced the slow, steady cadence of calm, encouraging deeper, more relaxed breathing. Old Marlow paused briefly at the barn door, letting in a faint whisper of cool night air. The breeze mingled with the warm golden glow inside, balancing freshness with comfort. Returning to the herd, he stirred the cheese gently, its pulsing light matching the subtle rhythm of his humming. Every note, every motion, every soft vibration of warmth reinforced the sense of safety and relaxation, guiding the sheephand, the listener, toward even deeper rest. And now, dear listener, as the hills lie quiet beneath the starlit sky, and the barn continues its slow, comforting rhythm, allow your own body to sink further into peace. Feel your shoulders release tension, your jaw soften, your hands resting easily. Your breath slows and deepens, in sync with the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every detail, the golden glow, the soft shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's soothing hum, the pulse of the cheese wraps, you in a cocoon of serenity, guiding you softly toward restful, rejuvenating sleep. The barn continues its serene, hypnotic rhythm. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the lambs remain still, their movements minimal, their breathing slow and even. Old Marlow's humming persists, blending seamlessly with the ambient sounds of the barn and the quiet melodies of the night outside. Every element, inside and out, exists in perfect harmony, forming a hypnotic lullaby for the mind, body, and spirit, guiding you gently into a deep, peaceful slumber. The barn rested in a perfect stillness now, a sanctuary of quiet warmth and gentle light. The golden cheese shimmered softly, radiating a comforting pulse that touched every woolly back, every tuft of straw, and every tiny lamb curled in the corners. Poppy snuggled closer to Clover, the steady warmth of her friend's body providing a quiet sense of safety. Clover chewed slowly, the rhythm almost meditative. Hazel exhaled completely, her body melting further into the straw, while the youngest lambs breathed in gentle, synchronized harmony with the barn's calm, pulsing heartbeat. Every sound, every movement, every subtle detail became part of the hypnotic lullaby, a gentle melody of rest and serenity. Outside, the hills of New Zealand were soft silhouettes beneath the starlit sky, A gentle breeze whispered through the pastures, carrying the faint scent of clover and sweet grass. The brook flowed quietly, its soft murmur, a natural rhythm that blended seamlessly with the subtle rustle of leaves and occasional nocturnal sounds. The world outside seemed suspended in slow motion, each element echoing the calm inside the barn. The hills, trees, and sky conspired to create a perfect, slow, hypnotic cadence that invited rest. Old Marlow moved quietly among the flock, his steps soft and deliberate. Each brush of his hands along the wool transmitted warmth, reassurance, and a sense of calm. He hummed softly, a low, steady melody that wrapped the barn in gentle energy. Poppy twitched her ears faintly, leaning closer to Clover. Clover shifted slightly, radiating warmth. Hazel tilted her head and exhaled fully, letting her body sink further into the straw. The lambs remained curled, perfectly attuned to the rhythm, their tiny breaths rising and falling in unison with the gentle pulsing of the barn and the soft glow of the cheese. The golden cheese pulsed faintly, casting a warm, hypnotic light throughout the barn. Poppy leaned closer, inhaling its soft, comforting scent. Clover's gaze rested on the gentle shimmer. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lambs remained still and curled, completely relaxed. The barn felt alive with a quiet magic, every small detail contributing to a steady, soothing rhythm. The faint creak of the wooden beams, the soft shuffle of straw, the gentle pulse of golden light, and the subtle vibrations of warmth worked together to lull everyone into deeper relaxation. Outside, the night was deep and still. Stars twinkled softly in the indigo sky, while the breeze whispered across the hills, carrying scents of clover and wildflowers. The brook murmured a continuous lullaby, and the faint rustle of leaves added a delicate accompaniment. Even distant farm sounds seemed softened and slowed, perfectly aligned with the gentle rhythm inside the barn. Every sound and motion of the world outside reinforced the hypnotic calm, echoing the serene energy that filled the barn. Inside, the herd remained perfectly aligned with the slow, soothing rhythm. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover's chewing continued in slow, deliberate rhythm. Hazel exhaled evenly, and the lamb's gentle breaths harmonized perfectly. Old Marlow hummed steadily, his presence radiating a quiet, calming energy. The faint shuffle of straw, the soft pulse of the cheese, and the low hum of his melody created a cocoon of safety and comfort, encouraging the listener to release tension and sink deeper into peaceful rest. Dust motes floated lazily in the warm, golden light, drifting in slow, mesmerizing arcs. Poppy's gaze followed their gentle dance. Clover's eyes rested softly on a drifting mote. Hazel tilted her head to watch, and the lambs remained curled, perfectly aligned with the barn's slow rhythm. The smallest details, the shimmer of light, the faint murmur of the brook, the pulse of warmth reinforced the hypnotic calm, encouraging the listener to breathe more slowly, sink more deeply, and let go of every trace of tension. Old Marlow paused briefly at the barn door, letting a faint, cool night breeze enter. The soft air mingled with the warm glow inside, balancing freshness and comfort. Returning to the herd, he stirred the cheese gently, the light pulsing softly with each motion. His low, steady humming continued, each note reinforcing the sense of safety, calm, and deep relaxation, guiding the sheep and the listener toward an even deeper, more restorative state. And now, dear listener, as the hills rest beneath the starry sky and the barn continues its hypnotic, comforting rhythm, allow your own body to release completely. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw relax, your hands rest easily. Your breath slows naturally, falling into perfect harmony with the gentle pulse of the barn. Every detail, the soft golden glow, the quiet shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's gentle hum, the pulse of the cheese wraps, you in a cocoon of peace, guiding you softly toward a restful, restorative sleep. The barn continues its serene rhythm. Poppy, clover, hazel, and the lambs remain still, breathing slow and even, each movement deliberate and calm. Old Marlow's humming persists, blending with the subtle ambient sounds of the barn and the quiet melodies of the night beyond. Every element, from floating dust motes to the faint murmur of the distant brookings, in perfect harmony, forming a hypnotic lullaby that envelops mind, body, and spirit, leading you gently into a deep, peaceful slumber. The barn lay in complete serenity, the golden glow of the cheese casting soft, warming light over every woolly back, every strand of straw, and every small, curled lamb. Poppy rested against Clover, breathing slowly and deeply, her tiny body absorbing warmth and calm. Clover chewed steadily, a meditative rhythm that echoed softly through the barn. Hazel exhaled fully, sinking further into the straw, and the little lambs nestled close, their tiny chests rising and falling in quiet harmony with the pulse of the barn. Every sound, the soft shuffle of straw, the faint creak of beams, the hum of Old Marlow, merged into a gentle lullaby, a hypnotic rhythm of rest. Outside, the hills of New Zealand stretched dark and quiet beneath the starlit sky. A soft breeze carried the scent of clover and wildflowers, brushing gently across the pastures. The brook murmured quietly over smooth stones, joining with the subtle rustle of leaves to form a natural lullaby. Even the distant sounds of the farm softened, slowed, and harmonized with the gentle cadence of the barn. The world outside mirrored the calm inside, creating a seamless, soothing rhythm that invited relaxation. Old Marlow moved slowly through the barn, careful not to disturb the deepening rest of the flock. Each brush of his hands along the wool carried reassurance and warmth. His low, steady humming wove through the barn like a soft river, encouraging the herd to sink further into comfort. Poppy twitched her ears, curling closer to Clover. Clover leaned slightly to share warmth. Hazel tilted her head and exhaled fully, her body melting into the straw, while the lambs remained perfectly still, breathing in perfect alignment with the barn's pulse and the gentle shimmer of the cheese. The golden cheese pulsed softly, sending a hypnotic, warming glow through the barn. Poppy sniffed its comforting aroma, leaning in slightly. Clover's gaze lingered on the shimmer. Hazel exhaled slowly, and the lambs remained curled, tiny bodies perfectly relaxed. The barn seemed alive with a quiet, magical energy. Every detail, the drifting dust motes, the faint creak of wooden beams, the subtle pulse of golden light worked together to encourage deep, restorative relaxation. Even the smallest sound, the soft whisper of the breeze, the gentle shuffle of straw, enhanced the hypnotic calm. Outside, the night deepened. Stars twinkled softly in the indigo sky, while the breeze whispered across the hills, carrying the scents of the clover fields. The brook's murmur continued steadily, forming a constant lullaby that complemented the slow, calm rhythm of the barn. The distant rustle of leaves and occasional nocturnal sounds were softened and slowed, perfectly aligning with the peaceful energy inside. Every sound of the night echoed the hypnotic calm of the barn, reinforcing the serene atmosphere. Inside, the herd remained fully aligned with the slow, soothing rhythm. Poppy rested against Clover. Clover chewed gently and deliberately. Hazel exhaled in a slow, steady pattern, and the lamb's soft breathing mirrored the pulse of the barn. Old Marlow hummed continuously, a steady presence that radiated calm energy. The faint shuffle of straw, the soft pulse of light from the cheese, and the low hum of his melody created a cocoon of safety and serenity. Every element of the barn encouraged the mind and body to release tension, guiding all present toward deep rest. Dust motes floated lazily in the warm golden light, drifting in slow, mesmerizing arcs. Poppy's gaze followed them for a moment. Clover watched one drift past. Hazel tilted her head to observe, and the lambs remained curled and still. Even the smallest details, the shimmer of light, the faint murmur of the brook outside, the pulse of warmth, reinforced the hypnotic calm, encouraging slower, deeper breathing and allowing every muscle to relax fully. Old Marlow paused briefly at the barn door, allowing a faint whisper of cool night air to enter. The soft breeze mingled with the warm glow inside, balancing comfort and freshness. He returned to the herd, stirring the cheese gently, its light pulsing softly with each motion. His low humming persisted, each note reinforcing safety, calm, and deep relaxation. Every movement, every sound, every subtle vibration of warmth guided the sheephand, the listener, toward a profound sense of peace. And now, dear listener, as the hills lie quiet beneath the starry sky, and the barn hums softly with its comforting rhythm, allow yourself to sink fully into this serene moment. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw release tension, your hands rest naturally. Your breath slows, perfectly matching the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every detail, the golden glow, the soft shuffle of straw, the presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's gentle hum, the pulse of the cheesen envelops you in a cocoon of safety and calm, guiding you gently toward the deepest, most restful sleep. The barn was wrapped in a profound, peaceful stillness. The golden cheese continued to emit its warm, pulsing glow, casting gentle light across the straw-strewn floor and highlighting every soft curve of the sheep resting quietly. Poppy snuggled even closer to Clover, her tiny body fully relaxed, while Clover chewed slowly, deliberately, a calming rhythm that echoed through the space. Hazel exhaled deeply, sinking further into the comforting embrace of the straw, and the little lambs remained curled in perfect harmony with the barn's pulse. Each subtle movement, the shuffle of hooves, the gentle sway of a tail, the faint creak of a beam added to the hypnotic lull of calm. Outside, the hills of New Zealand were dark and tranquil beneath the twinkling night sky. A gentle breeze moved through the pastures, carrying the soft scent of clover and wildflowers. The distant brook murmured steadily over smooth stones, its quiet flow joining the subtle rustle of leaves to create a natural lullaby. Even the far-off sounds of farm animals seemed softened, slowed, and integrated into the serene rhythm of the night. Everything outside mirrored the calm inside the barn, creating a seamless, soothing environment that invited rest and relaxation. Old Marlow moved gently among the sheep, his steps barely audible. Each brush of his hands along the wool transmitted warmth, comfort, and a quiet sense of security. He hummed softly, the low, steady notes weaving through the barn like a warm, flowing current. Poppy twitched her ears faintly and pressed closer to Clover. Clover leaned slightly to share warmth. Hazel exhaled fully, her body sinking deeper into the straw. The lamb's tiny breaths aligned perfectly with the barn's gentle pulse and the subtle shimmer of the cheese. Every sound, every movement, every detail reinforced the hypnotic calm of the barn. The golden cheese pulsed gently, casting a soft, hypnotic glow throughout the space. Poppy leaned in, inhaling the comforting scent. Clover's gaze lingered on the shimmer. Hazel exhaled slowly, and the lambs remained curled and peaceful. The barn seemed alive with a quiet magic, every element working together to create a slow, steady rhythm that encouraged deep relaxation. Even the faintest sounds, the whisper of the breeze through the slightly open door, the soft shuffle of straw, the warm pulse of light added to the hypnotic calm. Outside, the night deepened. Stars shimmered softly against the indigo sky, and the breeze continued to whisper through the hills and pastures. The brook murmured steadily, a constant, gentle lullaby, blending seamlessly with the slow rhythm of the barn. The rustling of leaves and the faint, distant calls of nocturnal animals harmonized with the peaceful energy inside. Every sound, movement, and detail reinforced the hypnotic rhythm of calm, inviting both the herd and any listener to sink deeper into relaxation. Inside, the herd remained perfectly aligned with the barn's slow, soothing pulse. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover chewed steadily, Hazel exhaled evenly, and the lamb's gentle breathing mirrored the rhythmic calm of the space. Old Marlow's humming persisted, radiating warmth and reassurance. The subtle shuffle of straw, the soft pulse of the cheese, and the steady hum created a cocoon of tranquility, encouraging the mind and body to release tension and sink fully into deep rest. Dust motes floated lazily in the warm light, drifting in mesmerizing, slow arcs. Poppy's eyes followed their movement. Clover's gaze rested on a drifting mote. Hazel tilted her head to observe, and the lambs remained curled and still. Even the smallest details, the shimmer of light, the faint murmur of the brook outside, the pulse of warmth reinforced the hypnotic calm, encouraging slower, deeper breathing and allowing complete relaxation to settle in. Old Marlow paused briefly at the barn door, letting in a faint, cool night breeze. The soft air mixed with the warm, golden glow, creating a perfect balance of comfort and freshness. Returning to the herd, he stirred the cheese gently, the glow pulsing softly in time with his low, steady humming. Each note, each movement, each subtle vibration of warmth reinforced safety and calm, guiding the sheep and the listener into a deep, restorative state of relaxation. And now, dear listener, as the New Zealand hills rest silently beneath the starlit sky and the barn hums softly with its comforting rhythm, allow your body to release fully. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench, your hands rest naturally. Your breath slows, falling into gentle harmony with the barn's pulse. Every detail, the warm, golden glow, the subtle shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's soft hum, the gentle pulse of the Cheesemaking envelops you in a cocoon of safety and comfort, guiding you softly into deep, peaceful sleep. The barn continues its hypnotic rhythm. Poppy, clover, hazel, and the lambs remain quiet, their breathing slow and steady, their movements deliberate and calm. Old Marlow's humming blends seamlessly with the soft ambient sounds of the barn and the quiet night beyond. Every element, from the floating dust motes to the gentle murmur of the distant brook, exists in perfect harmony, forming a soothing lullaby for the mind, body, and spirit, guiding you into a restorative, restful slumber. The barn now rested in a profound, enveloping stillness. The golden cheese glowed softly, casting warmth over every woolly back, every tuft of straw, and every curled-up lamb. Poppy lay snugly against Clover, feeling the steady pulse of warmth beneath her. Clover's chewing had slowed to the quietest rhythm, almost imperceptible, a calm echo that filled the barn. Hazel exhaled fully, melting further into the straw. The little lambs remained curled, perfectly synchronized with the gentle rhythm of the barn. Every movement, every subtle sound, every soft beam of golden light contributed to the hypnotic lull of peace that wrapped the space. Outside, the New Zealand hills were dark, quiet, and still beneath the sparkling night sky. The breeze whispered softly over the pastures, carrying the sweet, subtle scent of clover and grass. The brook murmured its familiar lullaby over smooth stones, each ripple a gentle note that harmonized with the rustle of leaves. Even distant farm sounds faded into a soft hum, blending seamlessly with the quiet inside. The night, both outside and within the barn, existed in perfect harmony, a slow, soothing cadence that invited absolute relaxation. Old Marlow moved slowly among the flock, careful not to disturb their deepening rest. His hands brushed gently over each woolly back, transmitting warmth, comfort, and calm. He hummed softly, a steady, low melody that flowed through the barn like a gentle current. Poppy twitched her ears faintly, nestling closer to Clover. Clover leaned slightly, radiating warmth. Hazel exhaled slowly, sinking deeper into the straw. Even the lambs remained completely still, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect harmony with the barn's pulse and the soft, golden glow of the cheese. Every detail of sound, touch, and light reinforced the hypnotic calm. The golden cheese shimmered faintly, its light pulsing in a soothing, slow rhythm. Poppy sniffed the comforting aroma, leaning slightly closer. Clover's gaze lingered on the gentle glow. Hazel exhaled fully, and the lambs stayed curled, peaceful and safe. The barn seemed alive with quiet magic, every element dust motes drifting lazily. Faint creaks of beams, the soft pulse of golden light working together to encourage relaxation. Even the smallest sound, from the whisper of the night breeze to the gentle shuffle of straw, strengthened the serene, hypnotic rhythm of the barn. Outside, the night deepened further. Stars twinkled softly above, while the breeze moved slowly across the hills and pastures. The brook's murmur continued steadily, blending seamlessly with the barn's gentle rhythm. Rustling leaves and occasional distant nocturnal calls harmonized with the slow, calm energy inside. Every sound, motion, and detail of the night reinforced the hypnotic tranquility, inviting both the herd and any listener to sink deeper into comfort and rest. Inside, the sheep remained perfectly aligned with the barn's pulse. Poppy rested quietly against Clover. Clover's chewing remained calm and steady. Hazel exhaled slowly and evenly, and the lamb's soft breathing synchronized with the hypnotic rhythm. Old Marlow hummed continuously, radiating warmth and reassurance. The gentle shuffle of straw, the soft pulse of light, and the low hum created a cocoon of security and calm, inviting the mind and body to release all tension, worry, and thought, sinking fully into deep rest. Dust motes floated lazily in the golden glow, drifting in hypnotic arcs across the barn floor. Poppy's sleepy gaze followed their movement. Clover watched one drift past, Hazel tilted her head to observe, and the lambs remained curled and still. Even the smallest details, the shimmer of light, the faint murmur of the distant brook, the soft warmth reinforced the deep sense of relaxation. Every element encouraged slower, deeper breathing, letting the listener's mind become quieter, softer, and more serene. Old Marlow paused at the barn door, allowing a gentle night breeze to enter. The soft air mixed with the warm glow, balancing comfort with freshness. Returning to the flock, he stirred the golden cheese gently. Its pulsing light, combined with his soft humming, reinforced the sense of safety, peace, and rest. Every note, every movement, every vibration of warmth guided the sheep hand, the listener toward a complete sense of calm and serenity. And now, dear listener, as the hills lie quiet under the starlit sky and the barn hums softly with its comforting rhythm, allow your body to sink fully into this serene moment. Feel your shoulders release, your jaws soften, your hands rest naturally. Your breath slows, harmonizing with the gentle pulse of the barn. Every detail, the warm golden glow, the quiet shuffle of straw, the calm presence of the sheep, Old Marlow's soothing hum, the pulsing cheese wraps, you in a cocoon of peace and safety, guiding you softly, gently, completely into restorative sleep. The barn continues its calm, hypnotic rhythm. Poppy, Clover, Hazel, and the lambs remain perfectly still, their breathing slow and even. Old Marlow's humming blends seamlessly with the soft ambient sounds of the barn and the quiet night outside. Every element, from the drifting dust motes to the murmur of the brook, exists in perfect harmony. It is a lullaby for the mind, body, and spirit, leading you into the deepest, most peaceful, and most restorative sleep you have felt in a long time. Now, dear listener, your eyes may feel heavy, your thoughts soft and slow, and every muscle relaxed. Let the gentle rhythm of the barn, the soft, golden glow, the calm breathing of the sheep, and the hum of Old Marlow guide you fully into sleep. Imagine drifting slowly across the rolling New Zealand hills, surrounded by warmth, calm, and safety. You are entirely at peace. Every sound, every shimmer, every breath invites you to sink deeper. Sleep now, wrapped in gentle warmth, safe and serene, with the quiet pulse of the barn carrying you into dreams. Good night, dear listener. May your dreams be soft, calm, and comforting, just like this quiet New Zealand night.